the tides in the Indo-Pacific are shifting. As China intensifies its maritime ambitions, the United States, Japan, and Australia have responded with a powerful new agreement, one that could permanently alter the naval balance in the Pacific. A trilateral pact focused on expanding logistics, support, and joint maritime operations is now at the heart of this evolving strategy to contain China's assertive rise. But what does this really mean? Is this simply a military move, or is it the beginning of a long-term containment strategy? And how is China reacting? Let's break it down. The new Trilateral Logistics Agreement enables the US, Australian, and Japanese forces to resupply, repair, and maintain each other's naval vessels and military equipment across the Indo-Pacific. This is not just a symbolic partnership, it's a game changer. Until now, each nation operated relatively independently in terms of military logistics. It follows a steady pattern of deepening cooperation between the US, Japan, and Australia under the broader umbrella of the Qua. But this pact goes beyond meetings and summits. This is about real interoperability in wartime conditions. It's also about breaking Beijing's strategic assumption that the US lacks the logistical staying power in Asia. By placing logistics hubs in Australia and Japan, the US no longer needs to rely solely on Guam or distant bases in Hawaii. Japan is expanding its self-defense forces, doubling its defense budget, and enhancing its island bases close to Taiwan. The US, meanwhile, is dispersing forces across the Philippines and deploying more submarines and surveillance assets. It's building a forward operating architecture designed for endurance. It now boasts the world's largest navy by number of ships, and it has aggressively patrolled disputed waters across the South China Sea, the East China Sea, and increasingly near Taiwan and Japan's southwestern islands. Beijing has long accused the US of trying to form an Asian NATO, a network of encirclement that undermines Chinese sovereignty. On one hand, they benefit from US presence as a counterweight to China. Could India be the next to sign a similar logistics agreement? Wars are not just won by ships and missiles. They're won by endurance, access, and supply. While India is cautious about formal military alliances, its naval cooperation with Japan and the US is increasing. If India joins this logistics web, China could find itself strategically boxed in from all sides, from the Indian Ocean to the Western Pacific. It's underway, and it's being fought not only with force, but with foresight. On the other, they fear becoming battlegrounds in a great power conflict. The new logistics pact may force these countries to reassess their positions, potentially leading to deeper military engagement or strategic hedging. The logistics pact is not just a deterrent. It's a clear message. If China moves militarily in the region, it will face a tri-national naval response that can operate across the entire theater seamlessly and efficiently. In response, China has doubled down on its own military partnerships, strengthening ties with Russia, holding joint naval drills with Iran, and expanding its military presence on artificial islands. But with this pact, an Australian warship could be resupplied by the Japanese Navy, or a US submarine could receive repairs at an Australian base. In military terms, it creates a web of strategic depth, a network where these allied forces can extend their reach across vast distances. This development didn't come out of nowhere. Why now? As China constructs more aircraft carriers, expands its naval bases, and tightens its grip on critical shipping lanes, the threat of losing influence in the region has become very real. Because the urgency is growing, China's Navy has expanded rapidly. The US and its allies have watched this with growing alarm. But it's not just about countering China's Navy. Let's take a closer look at the regional dynamics. Australia has already signed a deal allowing US submarines to rotate through its naval base in Perth. Together, these moves form a chessboard strategy, reducing vulnerability to missile attacks, increasing response times, and complicating China's military calculations. From China's perspective, this agreement is a clear provocation. But the reality is this: China now faces a much more coordinated resistance than ever before. What about Southeast Asia? This trilateral pact will also affect smaller nations. Countries like the Philippines, Vietnam, and Indonesia are caught in the middle of this maritime competition. It also raises questions for the future of the Quad. As the Indo-Pacific becomes the central stage of 21st century geopolitics, logistics may be the silent weapon that shapes the outcome. And in that realm, the US-Japan-Australia pact is rewriting the rules. As we watch this unfolding maritime chess match, one thing is clear: the battle for the Pacific is no longer hypothetical. It's underway, and it's being fought not only with force, but with foresight.